ready to go? Thank you all for coming. We will call to order the regular city council meeting of Monday, July 24th. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's trying to bribe his way to have this meeting.
If anyone wants cucumbers.
I take some.
Do we have any corrections or deletions or anything to our agenda?
Do not believe so.
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
I'll second that.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we have no public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about something that is not on the agenda? Debbie, you gotta come up to the mic though.
Hi, my name is Kelly McConnell, and I live at 615 Emery Street here in Tracy, and I just would like to have the stop signs put back in town instead of yield signs. That's it.
Well, that's good because you're not the first person that said that, so.
Okay, I have it's,
Instead of yield, I think she said.
excuse me? Oh, the yield signs, there's a bunch of, there used to be stop signs, and now there's yield signs, and they're
How
not.
did they get replaced with yield signs anyway?
I don't-
Kyle,
Kyle, do you want to touch on
how
that?
did they get replaced with yield signs? You gotta come up.
Where are these at?
Come on up here.
What are the intersections that you?
One intersection would be 6th Street and Emery Street, it's coming right off of Highway 14, and then all the way down 6th Street all the way down, even by the Catholic church, the school there. Those are yield signs.
382 project.
382 project.
I might have to get back to you on that one. I don't know if at each location, I know that there were some of the streets that are the numbered streets that were more the through streets and didn't have, I think a lot of the, if I recall right, the east and west streets had stops and the north and south, I'll call them north and south, had yields. So I know that there was some adjustments there, but I'd have to look back
But
at
now
all of
they're
them exactly.
Now they're all yields.
Now it's
and
the east
yields.
and west are all
Yeah.
yields,
Yields also.
when they used to be all stops.
So there's a standard that Kyle applied because there wasn't much the same. There's
Yeah.
stop signs in some places and yields in the other. So
Yeah, we had went through it at the time to kind of take a look at that, and like I said, at some of the crossing streets have stop signs and yield signs at the other more through streets, but it's certainly something we could look at adjusting if it needs to go back. I think there were certain parts of it where it was a through street most of the way, but then there was a stop, and it just didn't totally make sense from that standpoint, but I'd have to look back at some of the notes too on each intersection, so.
Can you do that and get back to us?
Is there a reason why you feel the yield needs to go away to a stop? Is it just because you're used to a stop, or?
Well, I've seen a lot of people just blow past,
Yeah.
not even come to any type of stop, and there are children riding bikes and not on the sidewalk, they're on the street, and there's, special needs kids in that area, and it just is a huge concern.
Yeah. I guess
Have a-
I
yeah,
wasn't
yep.
sure why you were requesting.
Yep,
Especially by the church too, because
Yeah.
there's nothing,
I think
yeah.
if there are specific busy intersections that would make more sense to be a four-way stop, we could look at that too.
Just a stop would be, I'd take that. I mean, that's something. It's just that they come right in off of Highway 14, and they've got some speed, and then they just kind of go through that, but
Okay.
thank you, Kelly.
thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Does that stuff go through planning and zoning? Isn't that where the
Usually.
signage and all that goes through that?
no, it's more of just council on that. It's not really a planning or zoning issue, it's a traffic regulation issue. So
I thought they used to make recommendations to us.
They used to, but according to city code, that's not how the process should work. It usually just goes to city council. If it's zoning and land use, that's different from, I don't know, Matt can maybe even touch on that, but, as far as, the yield and stops, it's all part of the project plans. I guess in the beginning, there's some plans on where there's stops and where there's not, but, so the council approved that, indirectly, I guess, with approving the plans, but, it's not a big deal to change it if the council wants to go back in certain areas or in all areas what was there before. I mean,
Yeah, I guess I don't like when those fine detail things go through on a big construction plan, because I'm sorry, I guess I'll speak for myself, but I don't look through those big construction plans in that great of detail to know so there's a yield or a stop. I guess I think those kinds of changes need to go through. I was thinking it was the planning and zoning, because that's where it used to go, because I know when they wanted some other signs put up for, I don't know if it was the play to slow down with, children at play or something. That used to go through planning and zoning. If that's not what it does anymore, that's fine, but then I would want it brought to the council in more detail if it's not gonna go to the planning and zoning, moving forward.
Just if it doesn't go back to the way it used to be, or they're changing it.
And I remember years ago, there was a bad accident on one of those intersections in the area that you're talking about. And the neighborhood was insistent on getting a stop sign versus a yield. They just felt that it was,
Well, I can tell you, I live on one of the corners of Emery and 6th. That went from a stop to a yield. I like the stop sign, especially with the liquor store at the end of the street. People, it used to be food and fuel, but people come driving down that street quite rapidly. They did do a 4-way stop there at one time. That's not necessary. They ended up removing the stop signs off of 6th Street. It's just if you at least get one direction to stop, it helps the accidents. Because at least one direction is slowing down.
Is this something that we should involve the police commission or the police department on picking or help choosing or regulating this?
Well, you think it would be uniform if they had the numbered streets, all through streets, and the cross ones, like they used to be, have stop signs on it.
Evan Morgan's not that way, so it's,
The stop sign was on the numbered street. No, it was on Emery Street.
it was on-
It was on
Yeah.
Emery.
I,
It was on Roland down by State Mary.
Kyle's just trying to put a standard on everything to make it so it's not just here and there. Then you got Greentown that has no stop signs, or yield signs, just a Wild West on that side, so.
For all.
It'd be a good place to use some of them signs then, huh?
So,
I
yeah,
understand trying to be consistent, but at the same time, neighborhoods aren't consistent. So I think we have to look at individual circumstances.
Totally understand that, yep.
we can review that and,
Yeah, and I apologize for not having some of that background. I think some of these discussions might have predated my involvement with the design of that a number of years back, but I can take a look back at some of our notes too, if that did go to any of the planning commission.
I mean, I used to be on planning and it didn't go to planning then. I'm
I mean,
not
it's-
on it now, but Jan is, and obviously it has.
I've only, since I've been on in January, we've only met once. They've said no business before us, so then we don't meet. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be happy to sit down and take a look at it though. It's something that's easy to adjust.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
My name's Tyler Twistle, as y'all know. I just stood up to mention that the other day on my way to the liquor store to get the deposit, there was a decently bad crash right on 6th and Emery. The car was being towed away, so I agree. We should get some stop signs on Emery.
Thank you, Tyler.
Hello, I'm here anyway, so I figured I'd mention this. I'm Sammy Jo Miller, and I did summer camps with the kids at the park this year. And I wanted to mention that the women's restroom at the park needs a garbage can. because some of the younger girls were leaving their tampons and wrappers and things like that in the bathroom, and there's no place for them to dispose of them in the bathroom. So they'd have to wrap them up and bring them outside. And teenage girls, I'm sure, aren't going to want to do that in front of their friends or other people at the park. So if we could just get a garbage can in the bathroom for the girls, I think that would be a good idea.
Which part? Which part?
Central Park.
Anybody else in the office like to talk about something that is not on the agenda?
My name is Janine Van Andrieschi, and I live at 340 4th Street East. And I'm here to request, with a request for our workforce group, that maybe one of them could be involved in the selection of the RFPs. And I would probably go with Ken Witt, because he has knowledge of that. So I know that our workforce group is going to be involved once one is selected, but I was wondering if it would be possible, I was just making a request of the city council, if it would be possible for just one of us to be involved in the actual selection of the architect.
So it was our intent that the committee would narrow it down to 3,
Right.
and then that we would have one of you guys join them.
Oh, I
They
didn't
do the
realize
3.
that. Okay. Well, I think that would really be good if you could do that. Just because, of the ideas that we have had over the last couple of years, and we've kind of gone over some of the, just in our minds, plans for the building, and it would be helpful, I think.
Yep, that was our intent.
Okay, well then I wouldn't have even had to have come. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else in the audience like to, anything to say? Seeing none, we'll move right along. The consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 10th council minutes, approve the municipal accounts payable and payroll without breakthrough beverage, approve municipal accounts receivable, approve the June 20th park board minutes, and approve resolution 2023-66 approving the disbursements of allocation for 2023.
I'll second it.
First and second, any further discussion? Roll call, please. Whoever's doing that.
All right. Dave Teeks,
Aye.
Pam Corman,
Aye.
Jan Arbizu,
Yes.
Seth Schmidt,
Yes.
Tom Dobson,
Yeah.
Jerry Shones,
Aye.
and George Landite.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable for Breakthrough Beverage.
Second?
First and second, any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
George Landite,
Aye.
Jerry Shones,
Aye.
Tom Dobson,
Aye.
Seth Schmidt,
Yes.
Jan Arbizu,
Yes.
Dave Teeks,
Abstain.
good one, and Pam Corman.
Aye.
Mayor Pam
So mayor, council communication, our first thing is the community center RFPs. I know, as soon as you're done with your secretary job over there.
So we received 10 total RFPs for the community center design. It was Jan, George, Jeff and I that went through the numerous reams of paper of information. We did narrow it down. Let me find the right page here, but. I'm looking here. There we go. So the first one, the highest points was Bollig Engineering. The second one was ISG. And the third one was Hay Dobbs. They're the top three. And I can go over all of them. I don't know if you understood my spreadsheet at all.
And we did kind of mention that we could maybe have added a fourth one, Studio E, in that it was
So the
fairly-
fourth one was ASTR, or ATSR.
Oh, for some reason, okay. I was thinking it was Studio E, but you're,
That would, yeah, that would have been number 5.
okay.
So what's the plan then, Mayor?
For what?
How we're gonna do this?
You mean once we do the 3?
Yeah.
So what I've suggested before is maybe we want to do an interview with these 3 with the committee, and if they want to add someone from the work group, you know, however you want to do that. You can really pick anyone. I mean, it's not like a low bidder type thing, but more of a what the council wants for design professional for it. So but it sounds like the work group does want some input on it, so maybe that's something you'd want to entertain. You guys any?
So this is being brought to us to approve.
Where do you want to go from here? So they narrowed it down to the 1 through 10. So where do you want to go from here as far as selecting or not selecting, or?
I think the other thing we discussed too was exactly where we were at financially. Has that, any of that come back in?
I don't have all the information on that. I don't know, Tyler, you don't have all the pieces for that either, I assume?
For the community center?
Yeah.
Just the spreadsheet that I sent you, that,
Oh, you sent that one? Must have been,
I saw about $208,000 that had been raised, and then, I don't remember the exact number that we had set apart from the city. Do you remember it's 100 some?
I think there's like 138,000 left from what I recall from when Eric left, but I'm not sure what that amount is right now.
So those are the numbers that I remember.
Come up to the mic, will you?
Oh, I'm sorry. So, what I'd seen was 208,000 in fundraising and 100 and something thousand that the city had set apart. But then we'd also heard from the Southwest Initiative Foundation, and they had items that weren't on my list. And I'm wondering if I have items that aren't on their list. So we'd have to get together with them to see what all the donations actually are. And then as far as expenses, there have been approximately $11,000 in expenses so far. And I don't remember exactly what they were all for. But part of it was the Tracy's Got Talent. Another part, I want to say it was like for an architect or engineer, some sort of planning piece. But yeah, approximately $11,000 in expenses.
And the cash that you had, does that include the pledge money?
So
No, that's all through Southwest, the foundation, isn't it?
I think for the most part, I think there was some other pledges. I don't know if someone from the workforce may have that outside of the Southwest Initiative, maybe.
Part of the donations.
So I don't know if that was filtered through a different organization or if it came directly to us, but, so they don't show a balance until the money's in there. So like one of them was a 5-year pledge where you're only gonna get year 1 this year, and then it's gonna be 5 years before that whole pledge comes back. And I don't know all the details on every one of them. I didn't say I'm coming into this late, so.
There was another one that was similar to that. I want to say it was Sanford Health. That it was $50,000, like $10,000 each year for 5 years.
Isn't
Was that right?
pledged to like 3 years? Over 3 years or something?
Well,
And we had Lewis Drug.
Okay,
that,
I mean,
that all being said,
yeah.
we have a grant to help fund what we're trying to figure out
Correct,
now.
yep.
so.
There's a $50,000 grant for the design portion of this.
So I see here you rated them,
Yep.
but I'm assuming part of it is the cost. I mean, it says here design cost and everything.
Yep.
I guess I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I guess I feel comfortable saying I'll trust you guys for your top 3.
Interview them.
Yeah. But I don't feel comfortable approving something when I don't know if it's going to cost us 20,000 or 120,000
Well,
because I haven't seen.
That was my
The
next
bids.
point. The bids would be well over the 50,000.
And we figured that.
Yeah, there's none of them that are gonna be less than,
Well,
really less than 80.
the first 2 components of the bid won't.
Right.
It's when you go to let the bid for the actual build, then they get between 6 and 10% or 12% of the total cost. So that puts you over the 50,000, but I think what was trying to get across was they was trying to figure out what this thing is gonna cost, so they knew where to go fundraising or not go. And until we get some idea what it's gonna cost, nobody knows where, everybody's in limbo. So the first 2 components of this RFP, I think, will be well under the 50,000.
And will that get us what the approximate cost is going to be?
If I understood that, Jeff maybe can help me, or Shane, if I understood it right, that'll get us kind of a fairly close engineered guesstimate what it's gonna cost. Am I right on that?
Yep. Yes.
I think when George and I and Jim met to look through this, I don't think that we were aware that phase 2 and phase 3 are going on simultaneous. We can't just go for phase 1 and phase 2 and have a cost estimate. When I dug into their submissions in greater detail and then talked to Shane about this, it appears that in order to get a true cost estimate, we will have to actually go through the full phase 3 to get a realistic bid. And so when we're committing to this, I believe we're committing to phase 1, 2, and 3.
So for their full cost of what they put out here for this RFP. I mean, that would make sense because
But if they're not doing the building, there's really no dollar to base their phase 3 off, which would be the actual construction supervision portion of
You'd
it.
almost have to, if you wanted to nail it down, you'd have to have your bids come in.
Yep.
And then you'd know, but they can give you, I know they've done this in engineering projects for streets and stuff, they can give you an approximation
Yeah.
of what they think the cost will be based on materials, et cetera.
Yeah, and I believe the RFP also stated that it's contingent on funding the
Funding.
project too. So if you get these, if you get, only to or through the design portion and cost estimation portion, then you really, say we can't come up with, 800,000 or 1.8 million or whatever it comes out at. At that point you can say, we can't do this, or we need to go raise more money, or whatever it may be from that point. But we don't really know what the cost is going to be until you do those first couple phases, meet with the work group, come up with an actual design of what they want, what they're going to do based on what they're going to do in the building, the programming part of it. And from there, they can determine what kind of kitchen it needs, and because just the kitchen alone is going to vary by a couple $100,000. I mean, it's
Well, that
A lot of unknowns.
phase 1 was community involvement, where they would work directly with the work group and the council reps and that sort of thing to get a sense of what are they designing for, what activities, et cetera.
I guess I'm still not clear as to what you're wanting from us. A
Well, I
motion
think the-
It's
to
put on here for
move
discussion,
forward
so.
for the top 3 candidates and for the committee plus one of the the other, well, I don't want to say it because technically that work group includes the council. You're not an own separate group, so I hate to keep calling you the work group because we're part of that work group. We have to be one. But to add in a non-council city employee onto that committee.
Can I throw out one other idea?
Yeah?
So, when we met together, Shane and Jeff and I and Jan to formulate these numbers for the grading results, one of the comments or one of the ideas was to sit back down once we do have a full report on how much money has been actually raised, how much cash we have, and to sit down before we proceed with this RFP to verify where we want to go with this, and to kind of gauge with what we have right now, if that comes close to what our original objective was, is to have the funds raised before we begin.
This first leg, you know, I'm looking at an 85,000, a 76,625. Or some of our, those are two of the three. It's rather spendy if you go through all three phases. The biggest part, of course, is the actual true design. And that's where it really jacks up the price. Most of the pre-design phases, the community involvement and some preliminary ideas, but that's why we had asked for a concrete definition, because it seems where, Tyler, you kind of got the feeling that maybe not everybody had all the information. And I really hope that within a week we can get that all pulled together. Is that reasonable? Shane, do you think?
We can find out where it is.
I know, that's what's been somewhat elusive.
Well, you should be able to ask, I mean,
Like Southwest Initiative's easy. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say,
But
what
wasn't there a
Tony is
delay
that?
because someone was on vacation?
What's that?
I thought there was some delay on getting a response because someone was on vacation,
I
or?
got that response. That's what Shane's going off of right now is that. So
Yep.
do you want me to read that email?
Yeah.
Ken?
This is from Jeff Fetch, who's been working with the foundation, which the community center is a just an offset of the group that we had formed. I'm out next week, but I can give you a little direction on finding information in the porthole. If you click on the funds tab, that will show you the balances of all the funds. The Tracy Community Center fund currently shows $206,401.48. Please note, this includes pledges not received. So it is $20,000 or more less cash on hand. There has been a pledge from Lewis Family Drug for $25,000 over 5 years. $5,000 of that has been received. So I think what we're looking for and what I'm hearing is we need to get everybody involved, including Val for sure, and get some information with the treasurer, which would be Tony Peterson of the Tracy Area Foundation, and then with Tyler, with the three of them, get a list of exactly what we have. Because we hear all the time, you know, this is what we've got. We got 703,000, we got 720,000. We don't exactly know what that is or where it's at. But in my opinion, it needs to be just divided into what we have in the Southwest Initiative Foundation account, what we have in the Tracy account, and what we have in pledges, and then we can go on from there. So that's kind of what this is telling me. That was the vacation, Jan, that I told him that he told me he was on vacation, but then he got back to me right away. So
I'm confused, and where does this dollar amount that went on this thermometer, where's that dollar amount coming from?
I think I can speak, I hate to speak for anybody, but I think that would be funds like the Blandon grant. What was that? That was $100,000. That's not a part of this. Where is that money at? I don't know. I know we've received it. We have.
In the city funds.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, and the 100,000 from Midwest is over a 3-year period. We haven't received that first one yet, let alone the second and the third. So that's a piece of it. That's what In my opinion, we need to put all those together in lines about, okay, what do we got? And then you can give you a true total.
I'd like grants separated out with the due date as to when it would have to be spent by.
Easy, easy, or, you
Just so
know,
that kind of helps us with a timeline too,
'Cause
that if we don't do something by this time, we're gonna lose this grant.
you're right, there's more information with that too, Jerry. There's more information on the Blandon grant and what we can do with it, whether it's this project or another, you know.
Okay, so that would hopefully spell out where we're at financially a little clear. But I guess I'm still confused when we voted to move forward to get the RFPs. The reason we did it is because we said we need to know how much the final thing is going to be. And now you guys that saw the RFPs, you're saying it's going to be the full cost of these RFPs. No? Or what's the final, what's going to be the cost to get?
Building built.
No.
You're just talking the planning portion.
Yeah,
We need to get.
to get the guesstimate,
So
that includes everything though, that includes electrical, I mean, everything. You know, like the example you used or somebody used as far as the street projects.
Right.
So I would say
You
on
can-
average about 15,000 for that portion. That,
On average for the preliminary stage 1 and 2,
yeah, I think that's a, I don't know.
I think
Just depend.
some were less than that.
That's where these get really kind of confusing, is because some of them will put it into a phase 1, some of them put more into a phase 2,
Yeah.
and then in the end, they usually give a percentage. Each one of these gives a percentage of what the, in the project, kind of the project that we gave them, because they needed a number also, and we used that 825 to 875. That's the number we used. We didn't say that this was going to be the project number. We told them this is what you can use as your percentages. Because if one uses 7.5% of 875, the next one's 8.25%, obviously that one's going to be higher. So that's the way, this isn't an exact science of looking through these RFPs, because each one of the 10 have different ideas of what they're going to do.
Okay, but you guys did the legwork of at least narrowing it down or rating them. Where we could at least say, okay, we want to look at the top 3 or whatever. I guess I'm feeling kind of like my hands are either tied or they're just floundering, because I don't feel comfortable making a motion on anything that I don't know what the dollars are.
Jerry, that's a good observation, and I think we too, well, a thick stack of papers we went through. We tried to be as objective as possible in ranking everybody, and sometimes it was very hard to compare apples to oranges. So some of it was based on, say, anywhere from 6 to 12% of the final cost of the project. Well, gee whiz, we don't even know how much that's going to be, so that's why it was very difficult to get a good handle on what, and that's why we wanted to know, what do we think we really have nailed down for contributions? And I'm going to throw in one other thing, and maybe is relevant or not. My brother-in-law is a project manager for an architectural firm in South Dakota. And he said right now, and I'm sure that includes cost of land acquisition, which we already have. But he said we're telling our potential clients to figure on average $500 a square foot. You take 2,800 square feet times 500, and unless my math was wrong, it came out over $1 million. And that's probably including cost of the land, which is given, right? So we could take that out of the picture. But that's when I started to worry, so where are we at with fundraising versus the reality? And do we spend $85,000 on getting this phase 1, 2, and 3 done, and then maybe we can't come up, I don't know. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg type thing. It's kind of like, how are we going to figure this out and not waste people's money? Because this is a lot of money just to do the preliminaries and the design.
So I
That's the dilemma we're in right now.
To, I guess, get this going in the right direction. So everyone's all right with the 3 going to a committee for interviews? Is that,
Going to a committee?
I think, Yeah,
Committee.
The top
To the
three
same.
here.
To the same people that look through all the,
And adding someone from the work group.
It's the non-council part of the work group.
Yeah, there you go.
The trouble we're gonna hit though, we're still gonna be in the same dilemma, so to speak, unless we move to step 3,
But you can ask during the interview,
what their guess is.
straight out, like, what's this gonna cost, what's this gonna cost, and what's this gonna cost, and then we can bring that back to the council. So if the council's all right with going with a 4 or 5 person committee to interview these these 3 prospects, then we can go from there as far as costs and
You're ultimately going to have to sign a contract, and that'll detail the exact cost at that moment. So
Yeah.
you really have up until that time before you're obligated and committed to paying that amount. It's just a process to get that amount, and in that process, will everyone's numbers be the same to that point? You don't know that, but you always can decline to sign that contract because you haven't committed yourself. It's not like a low-cost bidding. This is professional services, so you don't have to go with the lowest bid. So if it gets to a point where you don't have the funds, you can just say, we're not going to sign the contract at this point. You're just wasting your time at that point, but you're not committing resources financially, so.
So is everybody in agreement with taking the top 3 here? And
Well,
having the
I'm
committee
okay
interview
with
them?
that, Pam, but I would hope that in this process, we could get some more information on what the square foot cost is for some commercial projects that are going on now or that have just been bid for next year. Because this whole thing, everything comes down to affordability. And then we've got to get more detailed information on the money we have in hand, what's in pledges and so forth, so we know exactly where we're at and whether this is feasible.
It'd be nice to see that piece of information before we meet with anybody. So in our minds, we.
can you ask these companies what they are thinking the costs are per square foot?
I can ask them. I don't know if they'll give us a straight answer because they don't know what they're building. And that's the problem. You can get the Cadillac or you can get the
Stripped down version.
work truck. I mean, you can build a building with, a million options with automatic lighting and all this stuff, and then you can get the one where you have to flip a switch.
Well, we're not going Cadillac, I'll tell you that right.
Well, that's right, but, if you ask these people for their current project square foot price, you don't know what that owner of that construction project is including in their project, so it's not really black and white, and that's the problem. That's why we kind of need to go through this process.
And it's not going to cost us anything to have them come here and interview them.
Nope.
Or could we even do a Zoom?
You could.
If it would be
Yep.
more convenient for.
You know what, though? I think that they should come here because they should be bringing some plans and like showing you and having some details of like what they're offering us for this money.
I think what sets that is to get an approximation of per square foot on projects that are already current for them, to get somewhat of a handle.
But you can't do that. He just told you that'd be
You-
like
you
doing
can.
Cadillac
If you go
versus
through the Cadillac process or the
Yeah.
more moderate version.
But you can have them, if they're willing to show pictures or whatever, then you can kind of see what they're doing. So, that's an
Well,
option.
you
I
can be honest with them, we're not looking at a Cadillac, and I
Right.
don't think they're gonna tell us the price of the Cadillac, because it's gonna throw them out to the bid. I mean, if they're gonna give us a quote of 800 per square foot, because they're gonna give us the price of a Cadillac, well, they're not gonna get the bid, or the approval of the RFP. So I
Right.
don't think a business is gonna be that stupid to give us a outrageously high cost at this point in time.
When you're setting this up, Shane, then I'd like to defer my position on this committee to Tom. First off, I'm gonna be out of town for a bit here, and I'm crazy busy. So I know Tom isn't, haha. But if that's all right with the council, I would like to defer, or anybody else want to step up, I don't care, but he's the one that kind of helped me getting my head wrapped around this stuff, and I gotta tell you, I was uncomfortable doing it because I've never done it before. So,
I mean, Tom looked at the bids. or-
Yeah.
Yes, he
so
was
He
part
made
of
a
our,
good choice.
he was
He's
a part of
already
our meeting.
knowledgeable
He helped
versus
me.
any
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
He's okay with it.
Are you okay with that, Tom?
Yes, I'm good with that. Can I throw in one more idea? So, Jerry, you were talking about being uncomfortable about how much each of these were charging, and it might be helpful for Shane to explain kind of this grading system, because the cost was just one of 4 parts of how we graded this. Experience and schedule and like kind and whatever was all a part of it. There was one firm that was a smaller firm and fairly local from Glenwood that was the actual lowest total cost for all 3 phases. And I guess I would like to at least throw out that we invite them. I know that they were scored, I think, the 5th.
Yes.
But it was because they did not have in their bid any schedule, and that was 20 points, and so that made a pretty big difference. I guess I would like to see what a small firm, Bullock's pretty good size, ISG is pretty good size. I mean, they certainly have the experience, but I'm wondering if we will be just a small little fish in a great big pond on our little project, if it's not maybe something we should consider is giving a small group an option in interviewing.
I
I've
like
got
that
two-
idea.
Well, I've got 2 concerns with that idea. One is, does it put us in an awkward situation when we go through this exercise and now we bump someone above someone else? Is that other company going to say, well, why didn't you let me come and do a in-person presentation? Plus, if this is a small company, if they didn't include a schedule, what other things did they not include that maybe they won't end up the cheapest because they didn't include everything that they should have? I think when we go through an exercise of rating, when you go away from it, I just don't know if the fairness goes away with it.
Can you pick and choose?
If that's the case, then we would probably interview 5, because they were 5th.
Well, then why don't we just interview all 10? I mean, if we're gonna go down that rabbit hole, it's like,
Well,
we picked out, we said in the beginning we were gonna pick 3. So those were the top 3 that you guys picked. That's who we interviewed. I mean, that's what we said from the beginning.
I agree.
The one concern I have with that, Tom, is because I thought when we did that night, remember we threw out 1 or 2 other ones because they didn't include something in their bid?
They include a price in their bids, that's why we threw out a couple of them.
I mean, usually if it's not a complete thing, you throw it out, no matter which aspect it is.
If you look at just the grading of it, design cost, you're gonna see several of them that are 5 and 0. I mean, they were the highest, or they did not include something. And if this is coming down to cost factor, I'm just saying, maybe we should give an option to the party that had the lowest cost for what we're looking. Their total price was 60, I think.
total price was $73,675, which is significantly below the next ones.
They were 1,400, 1,400, and 7.5, which is 60,000 of 800. Just an idea. I'm fine with the top 3. I think we still need to get some really quality estimates and sit back down with the workforce group and have a good heart-to-heart of where we really are. Pledges are good, but if they're over a 5-year period, we don't have all of what we need to start moving dirt day one.
So,
I don't want to be the one that talks all the time.
well,
You wanna do
I'd say we go with the top three.
top three? And then for the non-council part of the work group, they wanted Ken Witt.
So it's going to be Tom, Jan,
Jeff,
Jeff,
myself,
you,
and Ken.
and Ken.
And then you'll have a recommendation for the full council at what date then? The next council meeting or?
Hopefully.
Depends on how fast you can line up.
So if you can zoom it, that'll make it easier.
I seriously don't think you get the full effect if you zoom something like that. Do you? Does anybody else?
What now?
I said, I don't feel like you get the full effect if you zoom it.
I
into
understand
something
what you're
like
saying.
this. I mean, it's not like it's just like they're not, but they need to have presentation, and I just don't, that's my feeling, is if you do it by Zoom, I don't think you're gonna get the full effect. That's just my opinion. If they want the job, they can drive here to present it to us, right?
I say we leave it up to you as the committee. If
Yeah,
you get a lot of
you guys figure
pushback
that
from
out.
all of them, you know,
I don't think you will.
I mean, I wouldn't think so, because it's not a small job.
No.
So, but I don't want to sit here and micromanage the work group, you know, if you sit there and get a lot of pushback, you know,
Yeah.
then you guys make the
Yes.
decision how you're gonna move forward.
This is their very busy season that they're in the middle of, if they're managing other projects that they've already.
Yeah, but honey, they got different people who design things versus manage it.
Yep, I understand.
There's very few of them firms did the total thing. This company did this and this, they work with this other outfit and they do this, and there, I don't know if there was any, if I remember, that did the whole thing, start to finish.
You guys decided.
Okay, so yeah,
How are you
let's
gonna
just
do
go with that. The top three, you guys decide if you wanna do it Zoom or not do it Zoom, and we'll go from there. Do you need direction from us other than this? Other than us
I don't
telling
think
you
so.
that?
That's just the discussion I needed, so we know where to go now, so. Okay,
Okay, next.
we got a handicap parking sign request from Scott Johnson in front of 169 3rd Street, which is Wheels and Heels Appliance Store. It's up to the council what they want to do. It's a city street, so they want to put a handicap sign there.
Would it be like the first parking spot, like there right by the library?
Be the first or the second one there.
I mean, because they have it in the middle of multiple parking spots, isn't that kind of odd?
The only thing is like, when I park on that street, I never park on that one right by the library, because I feel like people use that like frequently, and I don't wanna be there for 5 hours, and that's the only reason I don't park in front of that particular one.
So then what's your recommendation?
Would
You
it
can
make
even-
more sense going on this street on this side?
Too far away.
Over there.
Yeah.
You can,
I mean,
you
it
could
used to
even,
be right before
There
the
used
Do you mind if I
stop
chime in on
Yeah,
that?
chime
So
in.
we used to have one
On the corner.
on the corner here, and the reason for that is because that's where the cutout is on the curb, so that if someone's coming up with a scooter or a wheelchair, you know, they can get onto the sidewalk easily. I would like to see one too. We have customers frequently bring it up. And, you know, I appreciate that Pam tries not to park in front of the library for 5 hours, but a lot of other people do. So I would be all in favor of putting the spot there too. If
on
you're
the side here.
either spot, either like in front of the dance studio there or on Morgan Street. I think either would be a good choice. I think our customers would benefit from it also.
I would say more on
This morning.
Morgan here. You might,
Where it was before.
right up at the corner there.
So, closest spot to the
Yeah.
stop sign. Is that a motion?
Well,
What discussion?
the only thing that I have to say about that is that if there's one there on the corner, then I would be for 5 hours on Friday and
And if somebody beats
Saturday.
you to that spot,
That's-
you're still stuck.
But it's
Well,
no
we-
different
it's
where
not
it's
that
at.
different.
Yeah, it's no
It's
different.
not a
I know.
private parking,
no, it's not a private.
you know, so no matter where it's at, she might not get first dibs on it.
Yeah.
Unless she comes out 6 in the morning.
You can just leave your car parked there
I
and
can
just
just walk
roll
home.
home.
Yeah, walk home.
Roll.
Yeah. One place or the other, whatever.
Are there any on 3rd Street currently? Any handicap spots anywhere?
No.
I don't think so.
They're around the corner by the
Post office.
post office.
Yeah, I know that's there.
There's one in front of Plaid Moose by that side door.
That's on side street.
On Morgan,
Yeah,
yeah.
Morgan.
It's on Morgan.
And they're
And
going
there's
out
one in
front.
front of
Yeah.
the VMC here, or I
I
don't
think
think.
that's it.
I suppose either, it doesn't, I mean, if it's on Morgan here, if it's on 3rd Street, the first spot on either one, it's like, does it really matter?
I vote for 3rd.
You what?
So my vote is for 3rd.
All right, I'll make a motion, we put one on 3rd Street.
The first spot, or do you want to go down in front of Wheels and Heels?
Maybe the dance studio. I mean, you don't have to go in front of.
Yeah, if we go to the dance studio, because they really don't get active till later in the day.
They always park in the back.
Yeah.
I just want to be careful that we're not sitting here putting them in front of certain businesses.
Just because,
Yeah, we're setting a precedent, so we have to think about that. If we put it right in front of your business, so now another business person
Yeah.
needs
not
a
in front of my
handicap
business.
spot, so that they want one in front of their business versus at the corners or whatever. I just want us to consider that when we're doing this, because it's gonna set a precedence.
Okay,
Val?
first of all, it's not in front of my business. And the reason that I thought it should be in front of the dance studio is because that way the parking spot closest to the library is available for people to come in and drop their books off and leave. That's the only reason I didn't want that there. You know what I mean?
So when people get out of your vehicles, you would get out of the passenger side, right to the sidewalk. Other people that are driving are gonna be getting out onto the street that have a handicap sticker. And now we're gonna be asking them to either walk to an intersection a couple spots away or try to walk in between cars if there's already a car parked there. I mean,
That's a good point.
I'm not trying to drag this out by any means,
that's
but I
a good
think
point.
there's other things we have to look at, because yours is really pretty clean. I mean, the way you get out of your vehicle, you would get right out onto the sidewalk, but a lot of people that are driving and getting out of the driver's side, they're having to go on the street.
I'd say do it in front of the library, on the corner.
I'm wondering, is there a need for 2 handicap
wondered the
parking
same thing,
spaces? Because, I mean, Val said something that, you know, library patrons have asked for it. So I guess I'd be in favor of, or would support one on Morgan and one on 3rd.
One on each corner, huh?
Yeah.
Did you have something that you were gonna say, Val?
no,
No,
I
Dave
was
wanted to
gonna,
ask me a question.
I was gonna
Oh.
ask her a question, but we kinda answered it.
The thing is, if you have two, and I don't, this is way harder than I ever thought it would be. If you have two, then if there's no one with a handicap sticker, then there's 2
I know,
parking
and I was
spots
thinking
tied
the
up.
same thing because we lost so much parking in the way they redid that. It's
Yeah.
probably only better with one. Because we did lose parking spots downtown.
Can you get them back?
You got a motion? Do we have a second? You never finished your motion.
So the motions for Third,
On the corner of Third or Morgan. I don't care which. One,
Like
Well,
Morgan's.
oh, we have to, for motion, we have to have
do one or the
specific.
other.
which one then?
Morgan.
Morgan.
No. Third. Third Street.
Who's on first?
I guess I changed it to Third Street.
So Third Street,
In front of the library, on the corner.
so at the bump out, so south of the bump out on Third Street, in front of the library. We have a
And that
second.
has the wheelchair egress thing too, doesn't it, from the sidewalk?
Yep.
We have a second?
Second
Okay, so I can do the first and second. Any other comments? Okay, roll call and
There's
I'll
no
abstain
street
from
light
this.
there, is there? No street light that you wouldn't be able to get your door open and get out?
Most of them are on the bump outs, on the intersections anyway.
I'm like, we'll make this decision and then you'll come, I can't use it.
We, Dave Teagues,
No.
Janner Bisu.
Yes, and that is for on Third Street, right in front of the library. Is that what we're talking now? Our
Yep.
exact placement?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Seth Schmidt,
Yes.
Tom Dobson,
Yes.
Jerry Shones,
Yes.
and George Landite.
Yes.
And Pam, you're abstaining? Okay. Motion carries. So 7C, we have downtown benches, planters, garbage cans, etc. Seth was going to cover this topic.
Okay, I asked that this be put on the agenda for discussion. After hearing last week, visited with Val a little bit, and she'd been working on a grant application to help pay for some park benches or benches and garbage cans, planters and so forth for the downtown area. And if you'll recall, last fall, or when we approved our budget, we did put in a small amount into the budget for this purpose. Okay, but now our grant hopes have fallen through, and I just want to know, should we ask staff to present a plan to us, which would be scaled back without any grant funds, to present to us to the council for us to consider? What do we want to do? I personally think it's important that we do move forward with kind of finishing our downtown. So I am supportive of that concept. But
Seth, you said some money was put in the budget last year for this current year.
yes,
You know what amount that is?
It was 1,000, wasn't it? Or 15?
I think it was $10,000 or $15,000.
I was thinking 6, I don't know where I'm pulling that from.
Okay, well.
You'll have to look it up.
I can look it up.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, my,
15,000?
But a lot of times what's put in the budget is based on revenue from a grant. So it might be 15,000 in the budget in expenses, but then it's 15,000 in revenue from the grant.
Well, we put that in as a match, though.
The match? Okay.
I was just gonna say, I don't think we did that when we did the
Okay.
budget.
Well, that or Seth, would it make sense, I know, asking for, like, the park group, since they're kind of involved and kind of have ideas of what stuff, just on the work that was done at Central Park, would it make sense for, I know you're part of that group, would it make sense for you guys just to take a look and go, well, if we did this, this, and this, you know, we need 6 benches, 12 flower pots, and 4 garbage cans to finish what we think would look good?
We could. I think
that's-
the park committee would be interested in that.
That's just a thought, just to have,
Well, and I know there is discussion as to if it's permanent or if it's removable for snow removal. Because
I
when
would-
you start getting benches and planters and everything, I don't know how, with the guys with their snow removal.
It'll be a snowbank.
yeah.
Yeah,
I would say it's all
Well,
movable.
we can't expect them to
yeah,
hand remove snow around all of those,
Yeah.
and that's why, is it stuff that can be removed in the fall?
yeah, that's what I was thinking, yes.
My thought about that too is like, I don't know if we need to consider any more flower pots when we already have flower pots downtown. You know, if you can do more benches and whatever else.
Well, that, like, or if you put like on the corner, you put just like a big pot of some type.
I know, I mean, and it looks good by the bench, but then we got like, we're paying for all these other planters downtown.
Well, maybe that changes too.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
like
guys
the idea
check that
of,
out.
for sure, garbage cans, because that would decrease hopefully the littering. And I think seating would be the next priority for however far the budget goes. And I appreciate so much the businesses that do have pots already downstairs or downtown. That does beautify the area. Those would, from my perspective, be the kind of priority, because garbage cans to put your garbage in would be helpful.
So we'll leave that up to you guys. And
Is that the consensus of the council? You'd like the park committee to delve into this a little bit then?
I just brought that up because I know you guys worked on the Central Park, so you guys kind of have an idea of,
well, it's kind of a
what
good
works
thing,
and what
'cause then it's
doesn't.
uniformish, kind of.
Yeah, and then yeah, like you said, it'd be, you could uniform it compared to.
And Shane, you attend those meetings, correct?
Mhm.
So you would be there to look out for your guys with the
Yep.
snow removal? Because
Yeah.
garbage, we're not gonna wanna remove in the fall.
No, in the garbage cans, we have 6 containers down there now that are permanently mounted. They're year-round. And
We need more than that then?
I don't know, Southwest dumps these right now. We maintain them, but they get dumped every week by Southwest Sanitation.
So that would just need to be looked at and considered if we need more garbage or if we need to spruce them up or what we need to do to.
So if you have 6, where are they, kinda?
There's one by, let's see, there's one by the library, one by the old bank, one in front of the VMC, one by the Plaid Moose. I think there's
Is
one.
there still one by the old bakery? On the
Yes,
old
there's one by
bakery?
the alley there by the old bakery.
How
Thought
many
there,
more do we need? I mean, to spend money on garbage containers, save that money since we got 6.
Well, that's,
Yeah, then they can go with more benches.
yeah, you guys can figure that out.
and honestly, if you go with something, these garbage cans have been here for quite a while. And every time the wind blows, we're chasing the lids down the street, so there might be something better out there. That's why there's like 1 or 2 missing lids now, because most of the time people bring them back, but sometimes they don't.
A couple of them are in Westbrook right
You get
now.
60-mile-an-hour gusts, you don't know where they go.
Well, that's why I'd like you to be part of it, and since you do go
Yeah.
to those meetings,
Yeah.
because you know that stuff, and
Yeah, if you think the park group would look at that, that would be
Okay.
my suggestion, just to,
Yep.
We can do that.
I'll have Tyler look at the funds.
perfect.
Okay, I had one more thing for this section. I just want to remind people out there in TV land that it's National Night Out on August 1st. That's a free will donation for the meal that they have. And it starts at 5 or 6, I can't remember. 5? It starts at 5. So it's a great fun time for a family to come out and enjoy the park. And do you want to touch base on what they're all doing, Jason, or do we not need to do that? No, in your report?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jason will touch on that later.
So then you can go first.
Okay, well, Jason, why don't you go first? What a way to get yourself first, Jason.
He's always been first.
All right. If you have any questions on the calls this month, I'll answer those. I did list out the public nuisance ordinance update for everybody to kind of let them know where we're at. Did put out a push this last week to try to get a few properties in better shape before boxcar days. Still no word on anything going on with the 2004 squad order. I have been working on a very short-term placement holding cell for loose animals until we find their owners. We'll continue to get that moving this week. We did have a small kennel that was donated to us. It's not like a real strong one, but it is a kennel with a door. And we'll put I found a like an igloo type shelter that can be attached to that too. So that we'll have shelter at that point. Pardon me?
Where would we locate that, please?
We're gonna locate it back behind the city shop.
Okay.
So on city property. It wouldn't be something that we would keep a dog hopefully more than 12 hours. So
Do you think there'll be much shade?
yes. Yeah. Couple things that aren't on the list. Narcan was, according to, or with a new legislative update, all officers have to be issued Narcan. It's per officer, not per squad, and that's been done. Also, another thing that's recently on the horizon, well, not on the horizon, Shane and I have been discussing, the federal government has decided that we no longer qualify to have 2 Humvee motor vehicles, even though that one was granted to us as a parts vehicle, and so they want the parts vehicle back. The problem is we have to ship it to their base in Nebraska. So
And we can take whatever parts.
yes, but it has to be complete, as in frame, certain things to make it a complete vehicle have to be there. So like we can take the ignition switches off, and which this thing's already been parted out to the point where the only thing left on it is tires basically, and for engine parts. So it's cumbersome to move. It's been sitting out in the weeds out by the lime ponds for multiple years.
So is there a penalty if we don't deliver it? If we say it's not drivable, it's cost prohibited for us to have to deliver it back?
So this came up over a year ago, and I've been stalling
No, you're saying
and
it's not.
contacting like Amy Klobuchar and House representatives to say this is a burden on our city budget. This vehicle has absolutely no purpose to the federal government, blah, 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 this 1033 program, and they
They
all,
answered you right quick.
they did. We'll look into it and get back to you. I'm still waiting. So, it's been a long process, but I think we've got it narrowed down to where we're gonna share shipping with Nobles County here in the next couple of weeks to help lessen the cost, because they have one they have to return. There were 3 other vehicles that were from like Douglas County, and there are 2 other counties up north, and I was gonna be the 4th to get on the truck, but there wasn't room. That would have split the cost 4 ways instead of 2.
What's their reasoning to want these things back?
I have no idea.
Federal government is
They're gonna turn them into scrap, I know. I mean, they're just gonna grind them into pieces, so, it's been a pain to deal with, so. But that's coming up, and it will be an expense to us. I'm hoping it's gonna be less than $1,000, so. Yeah. So,
Well, make sure you get whatever parts that are left on there off of it. So we still have parts.
yeah. Other than that, National Night Out is coming up next Tuesday. Should be a good time. There's multiple entities that are helping out. I know the Rodeo group is going to have some stuff for kids to do. The fire department will be there again as usual. I think we were I heard something about some face painting for the kids going on. There's gonna be, some other games, for them to participate in, not to mention the entertainment for everybody and the food, so.
Do you have the lineup for the dunking booth? That would be nice to get out there so people.
You're all night.
No, I can't because my back. I'm serious, I can't. The last time I did that,
Yeah, no, I can't remember what the schedule is, so.
just curious, because sometimes that gets some people to come out.
Yes,
We'll
it
make
would.
sure it gets, promoted, so. And I believe
You know, like if
the
Bear's in there,
medallion
a
hunt is
lot of
gonna begin
people-
too. Or Val goes.
Is Tara in it? See, that's why.
The
we don't
medallion
know.
for National Night Out, the clues will get started here shortly.
Yeah, I think tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so. More exciting stuff for the National Night Out,
Sounds great.
so. Any questions?
Hopefully it's not 100 degrees.
I do have a question for you. Did you ever find out anything about the vehicles that are parked on 4th Street East and the other one? Because now I hear there's something else added to that.
So, 4th Street East is turned into a very busy road because of Center Street not being accessible and traffic not being able to cross Center Street, and everybody from west of Center Street having to go out to Highway 14 to use only 4th Street East instead of using Union Street and State Street. So you have 3 times the traffic on 4th Street East currently happening. I discussed your concerns with people talking about parking on both sides of the street with a few residents there, and they said that they're purposely legally parking their stuff in front of their house to slow traffic down because people are flying up and down 4th Street East, and it's happening a lot. And then I talked to some residents on 4th Street East that were complaining about the traffic also, and were happy their neighbors were parking things so that people had to slow down. And then I talked to a couple others that said they just really wish the road construction project would hurry up and get completed so the traffic would diminish. So
I get that, but that's kind of a hazard.
that people have to slow down.
No.
Oh.
It gets too narrow, and
Yeah.
I'll get myself in trouble here, but there's a pontoon, and then there's a big work truck, and now there's a camper behind that. And there's just room for one vehicle to go through, kids on bikes and trikes, scooting back and forth, in and out. And
I get
if
it.
they had the whole, at least a little more of the street, it would be less dangerous, or a chance to see kids coming out. And to me, many years ago, you did an ordinance that you can't do that. So we're just allowing people to do it because they think we're gonna slow traffic down by doing it. Well, that's kind of you guys' job to slow traffic down. And I know you're busy, I'm not trying to give you more to do. Don't misunderstand me, but it's not a citizen's job to park something there to slow somebody down.
I get that. Our ordinance does say that they can only park on the street in one spot for 24 hours, but they are legally parked in front of their houses. There is no, it isn't like 3rd Street where one side of the street is no parking. That street is designed for parking on both sides of the street, and they are legally parked.
And are they moving their vehicles just a little bit?
I'm not talking
every
vehicles.
24 hours? Well, it's the campers, the pontoons, anything is supposed to only be there for 24 hours, right? Trailers, anything.
Right. Am I checking every 24 hours to see if it moved? No, I'm sorry, I'm not. So,
Well, I know you drive by quite a bit. I see that. So.
we do
is it
patrol
you
trying to keep
checking or-
traffic down, yes.
Is it you checking or your other fellas that work with you? It shouldn't be too hard to keep track, I wouldn't think, but. I seen a young lad, I think it was anyway, it's hard to tell, on a tricycle going down the middle of the street because he didn't want to go in and out of stuff. And then I see these cars coming from the swimming pool or whatever, and it seems like they're always in a hurry. And to me, it was worrisome. Is that little person gonna make it? He did, I'll gladly report. But I don't know, I just didn't understand the reasoning. I'm gonna park this here to slow traffic down. Put a speed bump out then. Anything is better than blocking the sight for other vehicles.
And I did see you following some young folk in a golf cart one night on that street.
We had a discussion.
Thank you. They weren't 16, right?
No.
I didn't think so.
So there's really nothing that can be done as far as, you know, if it's vehicles, they don't block the vision as much as larger, be it a camper, a mobile home, whatever, that those type of vehicles can be requested to not park there. I know it's just request because it's legal for them to do it, but I think I see that as probably the biggest safety challenge because you can't see with those larger things versus a car.
I agree with the safety issue. I mean, to me, that's very important. If a young child who is trying to navigate that street ends up getting hit because people can't see them well enough, a life is a life.
I think the public in general, it's not just 4th Street East, but should just keep in mind, slow down. I mean, 3rd Street, I see some people moving awfully fast on that, and we do have little kids going to the pool, so just the public, you know, be responsible and slow down.
Anybody else have anything for Jason?
Good job, Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Val, do you want to go?
Okay, I don't have anything to add to my report for you, but I do want to touch on something that's not library related, but you are currently sitting in officially Tracy's second National Register of Historic Places building. I received word this morning that our City Hall and Armory building are officially on the register. So, yeah, so that opens up some avenues for us to seek some funding. I did submit the pre-application for the Historical Society grant on Friday, and that will be for the conditions assessment that we, I believe we selected ISG to do that project. So I'll just be waiting on feedback on that, and then I'll have to update it and say that we're officially on the list and not just eligible. So,
Do we
yeah.
get some kind of plaque or something?
I don't know, and apparently it could take a little while for us to be on the website, but I do have, you know, an official email. So, yeah, so that was exciting news today for a Monday. Anyone have any questions for me on anything else? Or that's fine too.
Thank you on your grant writing.
Fun seeing all the kids over at the library.
It's been a fun summer.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything for Val?
Excellent job.
Okay, thank you.
Tyler, you want to go?
Well, you guys have my second quarter financial update. I won't go through the whole thing. Just wanted to mention that you guys, the city council has $6,000 for donations budgeted, and so far none of that's been used. There's $165 there in services and charges, but that was for travel expenses. And also, it was high in the area of buildings and plant, like small items, and that was because of the downtown internet and that was fully grant funded by the EDA grant, so we'll just have to do a budget amendment there to adjust for that $17,000. So yeah, I just wanted to keep it brief, but if anyone has any questions about any of the items, let me know.
But the 6,000 was what we approved earlier tonight, right? For the wheels, the night out, and the Southwest Initiative Foundation, right?
Yes, that is
I was
correct.
gonna mention, the total only came to 5,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that didn't add.
Yep, the
But I
budget,
forgot because it was in that whole group of
Oh, yep, you're
It-
correct.
The total is only 5,000.
that's correct. We were budgeted for 6. City council normally in the past has always given 5. And I think what you guys did tonight just approves us being able to spend it if they request it, is how I understood it.
The request was for 5,000.
Yep, it's for 5.
Make sure that that's updated. The total says 6,000 on here, but it's only 5,000 for these 3 items on 2023-66.
So we would then have the ability to fund an extra $1,000 project, or,
If the opportunity came along.
because
Yep,
it's in the budget?
correct.
Or we could just keep it.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Tyler. Tamara, do you want to go? Get that microphone close.
Oh, your boss.
Because she doesn't have a voice.
You got it all,
So we're a little over our budget. We did a little over our budget for June, and we're over our budget for the cash flow. So that's an awesome thing. 4th of July was good. See, we did we had our Aloha night. We probably did 50, 60 people, Jeff, you think? We had 50, 60 people for Aloha night.
Yep.
Down from last year, probably about half because of all the other stuff that was going on in the area. Otherwise, we're just kind of plugging along. So, if anybody has any questions or comments?
We'll drink some warm honey.
Didn't she need some blackberry brandy or
Oh,
something?
blackberry brandy, you know where to find it.
Always selling, aren't you?
Always.
Thanks, Tamara. Jeff?
Right, lady.
Couple things that were at the top of my report, just wanted to bring it to the attention of the council. Did anybody have any questions on the email that Shane sent out dealing with the Orchard Lanes taxes or the lack of paid taxes over the past 4 years?
We approved that earlier, didn't we, to pay the back taxes plus this full year?
We didn't know if there was any questions that went along with it. I mean, it was based on about revenue brought in. And so it's being taken care of. I don't know, honestly, don't know where the oversight came from. I couldn't tell you. It doesn't really matter where the oversight came from. Money was going to be paid for out of the housing fund, which would be the correct place that would come out of. There's no questions with that. The industrial park potential project that we have with ISG right now. So we were budgeted this year for just a little less than $20,000 for the project that could be going on with the industrial park, which would be to the north of the ball fields, the softball fields, or of the Minnesota State, whatever the crews that come out of there. So ISG's been working on something with us. They are doing up to 5 phases, I believe, is what it is, and for that the cost. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about. I know you know about that. But I just want to talk a little bit about where that money or what the potential project consists of. So I found out a couple days ago, or late last week, that we are allotted for that ARPA money of it's $200,000, right at $200,000. The ARPA money is the money that the county is holding from us. It's federal money that came into the county, and then they disperse it there, based on, basically on population. So our allotment was $200,000. The reason I wanted to bring that up, and there's nothing that needs to be decided on tonight, but with that $200,000, I found out through the city or the county commissioners that that money can be used for what it can be used for. I just got just an email from Rick Anderson, and it's for infrastructure. It can't be for buildings. It can't be for anything new. It's got to be infrastructure, sewer, water, streets, that type of thing. So essentially, we have $200,000 out there that needs to be used by the end of 2025. So we got 2.5 years to use this money. Where this is going is you would all receive the same email from the individual that was talking about the museum and I think a lot of you know the concerns of the museum that is in the county, obviously, and in the city limits, some of it, that they don't really have running water out there. They've got a cistern. They carry water from one place to the other. They have a septic system because, and we can't afford to do any kind of I think the estimate is just a guesstimate. What it was is to put sewer out there, a sewer line, to be $250,000. Obviously we don't have that. But for $20,000, and that is just a guesstimate so far, also with a couple of bids that we got from a plumbing firm and then also a underground digging firm, that for right around $20,000 we could put water out there. I found out that this ARPA money can be used for that. I was also told that they would do anything they could, since it is in the county, the museum, that depending on what we gave out of that fund to put water out there, that they possibly would put some money into it also. I've also been in contact with the museum itself, and they possibly would be able to put some money into the projects. It is theirs, but as you've seen out there, they've got a lot of projects that are already going on out there. They put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort out there. We don't need to, I'm not ready for it yet tonight, but it's something that I want you to at least think about, because when I do come back, whether it's in 3 weeks or 5 weeks, to talk about that, I'd like a decision. It's the city council's money. This $200,000, it's yours. You can do what you want with it. Shane and I have had discussion. Eric and I had discussions on it. But and again, this is me throwing my opinion in there again. But putting $20,000 to updating the museum that brings so much to the community for $20,000 or for 10% of that money, in my opinion, it would be a good place, especially if we can get some money out of the museum itself and out of the county.
Would we need to do the 20,000 then?
We don't know what the exact costs are going to be. We got some. We would have to be, Jerry. We'd have to be a little bit flexible in the number, because just for instance, it was $10,600 to for the drilling, the underground drilling from the Dairy Queen site, wasn't it, Shane? Mm-hmm. To where they would need it out there. That's if they don't run into any problems. The plumbing was anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000. So there are some variables that we wouldn't know until we got into the project itself. So it's something that I wanted to put onto your plate so you can at least think about it. You come back and say absolutely not. I didn't promise anybody anything. I just did the groundwork with the county and with the museum to discuss it, because you all were a part of that email that came out from a representative from the museum. Okay. Any questions?
I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here, like I always do. I just don't want, because we've already said that ARPA money was going to go for the industrial park out there.
Yep.
I don't want us all to start dipping in where it comes that we don't have enough money to do that project out there.
I've been a part of that out there, and the project itself out there it's the 5 phases that are right now, and it's down the road. But remember, we're also going to be applying for it's a deed grant that for industrial parks. So they put in, in case somebody comes in for manufacturing or for storage or something like that. There are some matching deed grants which we can use federal money for the state, that state money.
And none of that money could be used to fix the bathrooms up in this building here at all? then?
No, that would be a part of the building itself. It doesn't, anything for buildings, this is all basic, I'll say it's underground. Very,
I'd like
very
to see
limited.
Some of that go there. to
Very
help us
limited.
out Fix the bathrooms.
But we'd really like to do that, you know, the city's been talking about this well before any of you were on the council, obviously, way before me, 40 years ago when they plotted that out there, probably in the, I'm gonna say the 80s maybe. They plotted that land out there and put it into 1 and 2 acre lots out there. We would do what we could out there, but we'd also wanna get the money, the matching. 180,000 or 200,000 is not gonna make that much of a difference, Jerry. We would have to have some money coming in from someplace else to do any kind of
No, I
damage.
understand that, but it's like anything, when you start taking a little for this, because it's just a little, then, well, we'll just take a little
Yep.
for this, and all of a sudden, you add up all those littles,
Absolutely.
becomes a big.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, I share your concerns, and I'm a big supporter of infrastructure for that industrial park, because that is so important to our hopes of expanding our tax base and creating more jobs. But I do feel really strongly about the Wheels Museum. I mean, just think about it, you don't have running water. I know we've got people hauling water to water plants or to clean things, and it's just, the water, and I don't know if $20,000 is the right number, but something for the Wheels to help them get water.
Let's see what it comes to.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to talk about that's on my report? Burgers, Bands, and Brews, we got 2 checks in today. Tyler and I got 2 more checks in today. We were missing 3 of the money that was for sponsorships. We got the 2 more in, so we're only missing 1 right now. So that's going to be very successful for the Tracy Area Community Foundation, as they're going to be able to give some money away again this year. Because out of the, right now, and we'll get that other $1,000, but we were up to just shy of $10,000 in sponsorships, and we only have 1 of those left. It's just like last year. It's taken some time people are busy in the summertime, so.
Nice, good job.
Yeah, that's nice to get that taken care of without me begging too much. Any other questions you got for me?
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Mr. Shane?